Hey, welcome! Today we are really getting into the nitty-gritty of building integrity at work. We're going to look at what it actually takes to create an ethical culture, moving past all the corporate buzzwords to see the real blueprint for how a company can help people make good decisions.
All right, let's just jump right in with a massive question. Why is it that good people, I'm talking people with perfectly solid morals, sometimes end up doing bad things in a work setting? It's a real head-scratcher, isn't it? But here's the thing. The answer usually isn't about some deep character flaw. Nope. It's almost always about the environment, the culture they're swimming in.
And that idea leads us right to the heart of what we're talking about today, ethical culture. And listen, this isn't just some fluffy phrase you see on a poster during a company retreat. No way, it is a powerful, very real force that shapes how people behave every single day.
So what do we actually mean by that? Well, the official definition says it's basically the shared understanding of what's considered acceptable behavior inside a company. It's all the values and the norms that an organization puts in place. It really sets up the unofficial rules of the game for how everyone's expected to act.
And this is where you really see its power. A company's culture can create this kind of bubble, an environment so strong that it becomes the #1 factor influencing an employee's choices. Just think about that for a second. The culture inside the building can actually have more sway over a person's decisions than the moral compass they walked in the door with. It's huge.
Okay, so if culture is that important, how do you build one? Well, it's not some kind of magic. It actually has a very clear structure. Let's break down the 3 core components. You can think of it like the DNA of an ethical workplace.
So here they are. The 3 building blocks are values, norms, and artifacts. A really simple way to remember them is the why, the how, and the what you see. Each one stacks on top of the other to create this complete, functioning culture. Let's dig into each one.
First up, you've got values. This is the foundation, right? The why. These are the big guiding beliefs for the whole organization. We're talking about words like integrity, trust, openness, respect. They set the tone, the whole philosophy for everything that follows. Then come the norms. This is the how. This is where you take those big, fuzzy values and you translate them into a practical, day-to-day rulebook. It's kind of like the company's operating system. It's the specific principles, the formal rules, the company policies, and all the procedures that guide every single decision.
And last but not least, we have the artifacts. This is what you see. These are the tangible, visible things that prove the culture exists. The official code of ethics document, the mission statement plastered on the website, those daily team meetings, even the posters on the wall. They are the physical proof of the values and norms working underneath. Now that we know what the pieces are, it's really important to get this next part. Companies can put these pieces together in 2 totally different ways. They can build a culture that's all about rules, or they can build one that's all about values.
So on one hand, you have what's called a compliance culture. This approach is super legalistic. The main goal is just to obey the rules, follow the letter of the law, and avoid getting into trouble. It's all about managing risk. But then you have the values-based culture. This is totally different. It's driven by a mission. The focus here is on living up to core principles, which actually encourages people to use their own judgment to figure out the right thing to do.
And look, while you obviously need some compliance, the research is really clear on this one. A values-based approach, that's the true, solid foundation for a strong, lasting ethical culture. It takes you beyond just what you're not allowed to do and pushes you toward what you should do.
But here's the catch. None of this just happens automatically. A mission statement is just a bunch of nice words on paper without the single most important ingredient, leadership. As the old saying goes, the culture is always set from the top.
Yeah, ethical leaders don't just talk about values, they live them. It's their job to actually create the ethical vision in the first place, and then maintain it through what they do every day. They have to be the #1 role model for the company's values and make sure that everyone, and I mean everyone, including themselves, is held to those standards.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how, but now for the big one, the why. Why should companies put all this time and energy into building this stuff? Well, because the payoff is real, it's measurable, and honestly, it's a game changer.
The data on this is crystal clear. A strong ethical culture leads directly to better business results. We're talking about things like higher job satisfaction, which means your employees are just happier. You see increased creativity, which leads to better ideas. And, a big one, lower employee turnover, which saves companies a ton of money and keeps all that valuable knowledge from walking out the door.
And what about this? It points to something huge, self-policing. In a healthy company culture,
employees feel safe enough and are way more likely to actually report bad behavior when they see it. This creates this amazing internal alarm system that lets a company fix a problem before it blows up into a massive public scandal.
And if there's one quote that just sums this whole thing up, it's got to be this one. An organization's values often have a stronger influence on an employee's decisions than that individual's personal morals. Just let that sink in. It's a pretty staggering thought, and it really shows you the massive responsibility that a company has.
And beyond all the internal benefits, there are some pretty big sticks and carrots from the outside world too. In the US, for instance, there are these things called the Federal Sentencing Guidelines. They basically give companies huge incentives. We're talking reduced fines and penalties if they can prove they have a real, working ethics program in place.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about your own workplace. Is it built on a foundation of rules designed mostly just to keep people in line and out of trouble? Or is it built on a much deeper foundation of shared values designed to actually inspire people to do the right thing? The answer to that question tells you pretty much everything you need to know about where it's headed.